All right, so let me go ahead and jump right into this one. Bill Maher has just doubled down on President Trump's warning about the communist takeover, agreeing that this is the direction that the Democratic Party's moving and that they're not even trying to hide it anymore. As I've said before, they are simply sanitizing the language and marketing it as democratic socialism. And you have establishment Democrats that have completely allowed this transformation to happen because their hatred for President Trump has completely overwhelmed their political judgment. The likes of Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, giving no actual leadership and direction within the party has led to now places across the country that are actually starting to vote for these lunatics. Like in Wisconsin, you have the Democrat nomination on the verge of going to a card-carrying DSA member, Francesca Hong, for governor. Same thing going on in Michigan with Abdul El Sayed, and you even got Kamala attempting to reposition herself to fit into the new direction. And so there are a lot of moving parts happening right now, and we're going to go ahead and break them all down. But first, make sure that if you do enjoy the content, hit that like button. That's the best way you can tell me. Subscribe to stay locked in with all future videos. And shout out to everybody who watches to the very end. I appreciate every single one of you. Let's go ahead and start and jump in right here. And so first up, we got Bill Maher's audience audibly gasp when he reads what the Democratic Socialists of America are actually saying out loud. And so take a listen to this.
And finally, new rule, Donald Trump has told 1 trillion lies, but when he says the Democratic Socialists of America are actually communist, that's not one of them. And it's not hard to prove it, just by quoting the DSA and their candidates. J.D. Vance was on the show, and I told him that if the Democratic Party keeps going in the direction of the DSA, my vote was in play. And all I heard all vacation was, oh my God, you're a Republican now. No, that's not what I said. I said in play. And here's why. Because not a week goes by where I don't read about some newly chosen, exciting new face in the Democratic Party. And then when that face opens its mouth, the Communist Manifesto or some other crazy shit comes out. Again, let's just read the quotes. The DSA platform says you work as much as you are able and no more than needed. If that was any closer to Karl Marx's dictum, from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs, they'd be sued for plagiarism. New York Mayor Mamdani once tweeted Karl Marx's words exactly. They're not trying to hide it. Their most popular influencer, Hassan Piker, thinks communism is so groovy. He laments the fall of the two of the most murderous regimes in history, the Soviet Union and Chairman Mao's China. Mamdani's aide, his top aide, Sia Weaver, said, if you don't believe in the government's sacred right to seize property, it's over, and impoverish the white middle class. What? That's a goal? You know you're supposed to scare people into voting for you, right? One of the new soon-to-be Democratic congresspeople, Darlisia Chevalier, supports seizing all properties from landlords and said, seize the means of production. Mamdani has said the end goal is seizing the means of production. I think they want to seize the means of production. Now, maybe you missed that in school or missed school altogether, but that's communism. Now the coalition within the DSA, called the Marxist Unity Group, is in ascendance, and I must take them at their word when their words include, our commitment is to the long-term struggle for a fully liberated, classless society, in a word, communism. What do they have to do? Tweet out, elect more communists? Oh yeah, Sia Weaver did that. Yes. Good. I'm glad you're shocked.
Yeah, and so you just heard that. And the crowd gasping at the end there because they're realizing that what he's saying is not something that's made up. Those are the actual statements coming out of these people's mouths. They're deciding to tweet that, put this information out there. That's someone who Zohran Mamdani has on his staff, ladies and gentlemen. And so, yeah, Bill Maher may be delivering this message with a comedic tone, but this is no laughing matter. But there is good news and bad news. Now, the bad news is that people are voting for these individuals in these primary races. Let's go to this right here. Francesca Hong, who is the leading candidate in Wisconsin's governor race, a card-carrying DSA member, And so that's the bad news, that because establishment Democrats don't have a real platform, people like this woman are actually in position where they could become the governor of a state like Wisconsin. Now, she'll have to go through a Republican candidate in order to do it. And that's where the good news comes in. Because according to the polls, at least with the Washington Post, regular everyday voters, they don't want anything to do with socialism. And so while this may play well with the base and is very strong to help them beat out establishment Democrats, the numbers state something different when it comes to what we'll see perhaps in a general election. And so I want you to take a listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. This is Francesca Hong, the lead candidate for the nomination in the Democrat Party governor race. Take a listen to her as she tries to compare owning a piece of the Green Bay Packers. She compares that to socialism. Yeah. Take a listen.
These are policies that are rooted in democratic socialism, something that our state has a deep history in. And if you look at where sewer socialism was born in Milwaukee, this was a government that ensured people had everyday needs met, and things like trash pickup to making sure that our Packers, our publicly owned NFL team, these are things that progressives and Wisconsinites all across the state are proud of.
Yeah, so right there, ladies and gentlemen, you have this woman, Francesca Hong, who will be the nominee for the Democrat Party, more than likely. She is up big right now in that race. And she thinks that ownership and the Green Bay Packers, because they are publicly owned, they're the only team in the NFL that's owned publicly. Shareholders, the people, you can own a piece of the Green Bay Packers if you want to. She's comparing that and saying that's socialism. Now, mind you, that they're not owned by the government. They're owned by shareholders. They have a board that takes care, obviously, of all of the football stuff. But that's socialism. So is trash pickup. This is why I say that these people are dangerous. Because to someone who can easily be manipulated, I'll say it like that, very naive, they probably were going to vote Democrat, and maybe they were a little skeptical because they heard the socialism thing, and they just need a little bit of a persuading in order for them to feel comfortable still voting or coming out to vote for a Democrat. They'll fall for this. They'll fall for this hook, line, and sinker, because you'll have this woman who is not the brightest bulb come through and say, we already got socialism. Your trash pickup. Think about all these services that are taken care of. That's socialism. When it's not. It's not simply about government coming in and taking care of basic necessities. No, it's about giving government more and more control of your everyday life. No ownership of private property, controlling the means of production, taxing you more and more on your everyday living, building a government that is in a position where now they can dictate every major facet of how you want to live. And you can't do anything about it because you've given them too much of the power. But you know what? Let's go to this next part, because you got Kamala Harris also, who she's trying to fit in with this whole socialist agenda now. And it sounds like, we're going to get into this, it sounds like what she did was go to ChatGPT and basically ask ChatGPT to give her a list of socialist talking points that would sound really good, that would make her sound, like she's really far left, even more far left than what she's already been. And that this will really get the socialists moving in her direction. And so I want you to take a listen to this.
We need to revisit the Electoral College. We need to revisit the point of expanding the court to 13 justices like we have 13 district courts. We need to revisit, if they so want, statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C.
Yes.
If we regain control of the Senate, I served on this committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, when I was in the Senate. Only the second black woman elected to the United States Senate after Carol Moseley Braun. And the Senate Judiciary Committee has the power to create rules for its committee that don't have to go to the whole Senate for a vote and worry about filibuster and all. We need to
And so there you have Kamala Harris making her bid for the Democratic Socialists and trying to get in on that whole movement, as you can hear right here. She's just ringing off a list of things that will basically allow Democrats to never lose another election. Because they know that the way things are going with the illegals being removed from the country, that's going to affect their seating in the House when we have the census once again. And they actually do a calculation of the population. Democrats will likely lose seats in some of these areas because of all the illegal migrants being removed. On top of that, you got the redistricting battles going on where they're no longer allowed to gerrymander many of these southern states. And so it's no longer a guaranteed Democrat seat. And so, yeah, they have a lot of reason to be in fear of the future because they realize that their safety nets are basically disappearing. Yeah, so right now, Democrats are definitely a threat to America right now because of what they're trying to do and the messaging that they're trying to send. I mean, you just heard you got DSA members, card-carrying DSA members who running for governor who are trying to compare ownership of a public team to socialism, trash pickup to socialism. Same thing, and the messaging is clear across the board with the establishment Democrats. And so let's get into this, where you have Democrat Rep. Jonathan Jackson fully embracing Democratic Socialists taking over his party. Basically aligned with the same thing, trying to just kind of brush over and say, well, you know, we have all these things in place. It's socialism already, really trying to just sanitize their true intentions to the American public, ladies and gentlemen. So take a listen to this.
So while we're sitting over here doing this holier than thou, I didn't like how you said this. Is he a democratic socialist? And some of the labels I don't particularly care for, but I care for which direction they want to go. You know, what does socialism mean? We already have it. You have crop insurance. That's a government-funded program. You have Social Security. That's a government-funded program. Every time the banks have to get a bailout, that's a government-funded program. Those are called socialism. So I don't think they're arguing the case appropriately. When the young people are saying they can't afford their rent, they can't afford to go to school, they don't make enough money, like these are saying we need to raise the bar on what is the floor.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Let's leave out the part where they're talking about controlling the means of production, no longer being able to own private property, defunding the police, abolishing ICE, getting rid of the Senate, no longer having the presidency as in the current form it's in, abolishing the Supreme Court. I mean, the list can go on what the Democratic Socialists of America platform champions and what they actually stand on, what they actually have on their website. Let's ignore all that and just trying to compare some things when it comes to public services. And we're going to compare that to what the DSA is pushing. You got to love the delusion in these people's mind to try and connect those dots. But I want to go back to Bill Maher because he said a lot more. And he spoke about how Democrats think capitalism is bad now. Socialism, good. Capitalism, that's what we should be against. And so take a listen to this.
Yes, my vote is in play. I'm not voting for anyone who thinks the wrong side won the Cold War or cheers for the Intifada like it's the World Cup. It's so ironic from the people who obsess about colonization. You know what's being colonized now? The Democratic Party. Last month, 2 Democratic congressmen released an open pledge they wanted their fellow Democratic members to sign. It said, "We are capitalist, not socialist. We want safety, not lawlessness. We are proud, not ashamed of America." These should not be hard words for a congressional Democrat to sign on to. You know how many did? 8. 8 out of 212. Guys, really, there's got to be an easier way to lose the swing states.
Yeah, and so I think people need to wake up when you have individuals like a Bill Maher who are sounding the alarm and agreeing with President Trump with who these people are. They're communists. They're sanitizing their intentions and calling it democratic socialism, but it's truly communism. Go check out the website. Go check out their information. They're not hiding who they are. The media is the one who's trying to dilute this messaging. The left-wing media, they're the ones who are trying to dilute this messaging. But they're not hiding it. Surprisingly enough, you would think that they don't want people to kind of know everything that they're about, but they're not even doing that much. And people better wake up, because before you know it, they will have power, they will have control, and if you give it to them and they are able to change things in their favor, you won't get it back. And so I think people need to actually take it serious. Republicans need to take it serious. Democrats need to take it serious. Your party's been taken over by the likes of individuals who don't really align with what you say you stand for. And now you're looking like something completely different. And what are you going to do about it? But those are my thoughts in the update. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your comments down below. I appreciate when you guys chime in. Don't forget, you enjoy the content. Smash that thumbs up. For more, subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.